feel like I need to give some credibility if I'm going to talk about this as well, because it's very easy to throw about the full hybrid thing when you're not really that hybrid as well. You go out and bash out a couple of 10Ks and 5Ks, but you lift. That doesn't really make you hybrid. So when did this journey actually start for me? So I joined the military back when I was a wee guy. I was like 17 years old. And from there, I just became a bit obsessed with this idea of being ready for anything. I actually found out a couple of years ago that, or when, a year ago, 2 years ago, that ready for anything is actually the slogan for the parachute regiment, which is very cool. However, I always loved this idea of being like independent and like never feeling the need to be reliant on someone else. So the sort of hybrid journey for me really started there. I joined the Air Force as a aerospace systems operator, a very desk-based job, and fitness was left to us at the unit that we were at. And for a lot of people, I've seen a lot of men and women really give up on themselves in times like this and get to the point where, because there was no actual standardized phys, there was just a standardized fitness test, which was either 6 months or 12 months. A lot of people let themselves go and then they scrape themselves around that thing. The idea of that terrified me. Like, it terrified me not being capable, like potentially losing my job because I hadn't been looking after myself. That just, to me, was like, oh, the worst feeling ever. And this actually transcends into so many other parts of life, because so many people do this, and you shouldn't justify or let things happen just because you can. And this is what a lot of people do, and it's a race to the bottom for a lot of people. So for me, I would say the idea of it was there, but when it really got put into practice was 2020, when the lockdown happened. And I've been dabbling in it. I've been doing like trail running, obstacle course racing, but I'll be honest, I never nailed it, because when one increased, the other one decreased. For example, if I was pushing high amounts of endurance, run volume, I barely lifted. And when I did lift, I was underfueled, not recovered properly, and I just looked skinny, and I ended up looking more out of shape than I actually did, and I was fitter. And this is the case for a lot of people as well. So I want to really talk about like the things that you need to be avoiding if you plan on running and lifting and combining these two as well. And yeah, like I've learned a lot since then. I've competed in Ironman 70.3, full distance Ironman, the Keltman, which is an extreme triathlon, which is like a bigger version of an extreme version of an Ironman. Competed at High Rocks World Champs. And I've done a lot of things between there, ultra marathons, marathons, and yeah, man, I like challenging myself and doing different things. There is a long list of things that I have done, but you see some of them on the screen when I'm talking about this as well. So yeah, there's been so many different things I'm doing, and now for me, what do I actually enjoy? I just enjoy being incredibly aerobically capable. So being able to endure a good amount of distance. I was actually on the bike today and running, and I was just looking at my numbers on the bike and when I was running, and I was like, I could compete in an Ironman 70.3 faster than what I could in 2022 based on my numbers right now, and I haven't even been training for it. That's the power of consistency, guys, right? And that is for me is like, how can I just stay at this point where I am ready for anything? I am like 6 to 12 weeks away from being in like a peak condition. Right now, I'm building my running back up after having a long period of time of that taken out. So let's get stuck into it and really talk about the 4 things that you need to be avoiding. So number 1, you need to stop running too fast when you're meant to be running slow. You need to stop that, right? It's there for a reason. Now, I'm going to dive into this a lot deeper because I say this a lot and I feel like it just falls on deaf ears at times, right? The point of zone 1 and 2 is aerobic work, right? You utilize an energy system called mitochondria, right? If you are not in that zone, you are not training that aerobic system. You're working anaerobically. So how do you actually determine someone's top end zone 2? So obviously you can do 220 minus your age. So I'm 31 years old, 220 minus your age is 189 beats per minute is my max heart rate. I've seen it go higher than that this year as well. And basically that is a rough way to work out your top end. And then your zone 2 is going to be anywhere between 55 to 65% of what that is. Now, different watches get different readings, and you need to remember as well, the fitter you get, you'll know your zones better. But the best way to really work it out is 180 minus your age, right? So my top end zone 2 is 149 beats per minute. That's for running, right? It's going to change on different things. On a bike, it's going to be slightly less. It's going to be like 5 to 10 beats per minute less because it's not as plyometric and high impact. Same on a ski, same on a row. So you need to remember, like, you need to take these numbers with a pinch of salt. However, once you know them, learn them, right? And understand that they're not going to change dramatically once you know what they are. But ultimately, it's a conversational pace So if you were running or cycling, you were able to hold a conversation confidently, still hard, it's still running, it's still moving, right? And you're at about 180 minus your age is your top end. So then you could be at the lower end of that. Anything south of there is going to be good. That's what zone 2 is, right? So if I am at 158 beats per minute, easy as it seems, right? I am not in zone 2. I am not there. Now, understand that if you climb a hill, your heart rate's going to go up. If you're a little bit fatigued, your heart rate might be sitting higher than what it was. Don't be so black and white with it, and understand that it is going to vary from time to time. Like, I'm training in the hot climate right now. I've barely ran recently. My heart rate's higher than what it usually is. It's fine, right? But as long as you're not spending the lion's share of the time in there, you're just not going to get the gains. Like, think about it, guys. Like, imagine training for a max effort bench press, right? You're like, right, I want to lift 1 rep bench at this, and you just train 12 reps for like 16 weeks. Yeah, you'll get stronger, but you're not going to capitalize on the 1 rep max. You're going to capitalize on the 12 rep max. You're just training in a different zone. Like, you need to train in the zone that you're meant to be in. So what is the point of zone 2 work? Because I want to just talk about this and put this to rest, right? The way that you need to look at your zone 2 is it's your aerobic capacity. It's your base, right? And if you do not have base, it's going to affect your recovery, your ability to recover during workouts. And essentially, you might be able to do all this hard, intense stuff, but you'll probably find that it's very short-lived, and you'll find that it takes a while for your heart rate to come down. Zone 2 is going to build this really huge base that then allows you to just be a machine. And what a lot of people don't realize, especially amongst like top level athletes, the bulk of your training, especially if you're really trying to push really high levels of running or athleticism or sport, you should be doing a lot of zone 2 work. You should be doing a lot of base work. You should be sitting on the bike. Like, however, obviously it's down to like what you're doing, what your goals are, how much time you can commit to that. But the bulk of your training shouldn't be you smashing yourself, right? All you're going to do is not recover properly, and you're just not going to get the best out of yourself. So zone 2, especially if you're coming from like an aerobic performance standpoint, should make up a big bulk of your training. And a lot of folk are like, I don't want to do that. And it's like, well, tough titties. That's the name of the game. And if you want to get fitter, that's what you need to do. You can't cheat your way around it. You can't just do all the cool fancy stuff. The bit that people don't realize is like when you do it and you stick to it and you really do it, and I'm going to come on and talk about this in my last one, is like you get very good at it. And your zone 2, I said this to Ailey the other day, like there is no better feeling than running fast at your zone 2. Like prior to my injury, I was running like 440, 450 at zone 2, easy pace, heart rate 140. So empowering. Like just running along, man, and just being like, I'm moving so fast right now, my heart rate's really low. That's what happens when you do it. So the more deposits you make, the more efficient that you become over time. So yeah, stop training too fast. Start slowing down, because you'll become more effective, and mechanically you'll just get better over time. Secondly, stop treating your legs like they're made of glass, right? You're a grown adult. They adjust, they adapt, right? Stop cutting corners. I didn't want to affect my recovery, right? Let your recovery get to the point where it feels like it's in the bin before you make that decision to start cutting away, right? Test the limits. Don't be like, oh, my legs are a little bit sore after that workout yesterday. I won't go hard on my legs today because they need that recovery. No, they don't. They need to become more conditioned. Like, our bodies are so smart, right? So smart, right? Whatever you expose them to, the SAID principle, specific adaptation to impose demand, right? If I just rubbed my hand on this table every day, right? At first, I would get blisters, right? Every day, I just kept doing it. What would begin to happen over time? I'd get like a big mad callus, and I'd have this big pad on my hand here. That's an adaptation that happens over time. Yeah, it wouldn't be very pleasant at first, but your body experiences something and then goes like, oh, didn't like that. How do I make myself more robust? I had done this for a long time, where the reason that I wasn't able to capitalize on strength and running at the same time is because basically I was being a pussy. Basically, I was just going like, well, I can't do that right now because that's going to affect this. But little be known to me is that if I just leaned into it, recovered properly, I would become more accustomed. And that's what Hyrox training's really taught me, is like, my body is not made of glass, man. Like, I am far more capable, I'm far more robust than I thought it was going to be. Now, this isn't me telling you to go and dive in feet first and destroy yourself, but trust me, like, the reason that you're losing gains is because you're skipping sessions, because you're cutting corners, because you're a little bit tender, right? Read between the lines. If your legs are falling off and you feel like you're in the bin, don't do it, right? But if you're at the point right now where you're actually, I'm just a little bit tired, I'm a little bit achy, go and test the limits of it. And what you actually find is you get a lot fitter. And that's when you start to get to that point where you're like doing really hard sessions, really pushing yourself. And it's like an hour and a half later and you're like, I feel great again. Actually, I feel really good. I feel like I could go again. That's what happens over time as well. So if you want to run and lift and combine them both, right, stick to the plan. Stop deviating from the plan, because then you don't do it for a couple of weeks. Then you do it and hit it really hard. Then you come up with a big reason. You're like, oh, that really hurt me when I done that though. It's like, yeah, because you didn't stick to the plan. So stick to the plan, stick with it. And I'm telling you, your body will adapt to it. Number 3, too much, too soon. So the rule of thumb when it comes to progressing volume with your running is 10% per week. Now, if you're a pretty experienced runner and you know your body quite well, even like myself recently, I reintroduced 3 40-minute runs per week. Would I recommend someone to go straight into 3 40-minute runs per week if they haven't been running and they've come back from an injury and they hadn't been doing it at all? No, I wouldn't. I would build them up. These also had walk jogs in them. So like every 5 to 10 minutes, I was walking for like a minute. Now, a lot of people really just do not get there's a big difference between fitness and conditioning, right? Let's say, for example, you're 27 years old. You used to play football, you used to play netball, you used to play a sport or whatever that is, right? And you've been lifting. Your body is robust, right? Could you go out like, and obviously let's imagine this person, they've got a slender physique, they're not that overweight, they're not that well conditioned, but they're trained, they've got a good base. Could that person go out and run 10K? Yeah, they probably could. If they've got a sporting background, but they've never ran, right? Could they go out and run 10K? They probably could. But just because you can doesn't mean you should. Will they probably get an injury? Yeah, they probably will, because the joints, tendons, and ligaments are not used to that repetitive movement. Depending on your cadence stride, every time you step on the ground, 3 to 4 times your body weight can travel through your leg, right? If you don't do that, and then you don't even go for that many walks, and you go out and just run 10K, and you might be someone that's actually quite overweight, do you think that's a wise idea? People are like, yeah, but it felt okay. And you're like, I know it felt okay, but that's not the point. You need to build yourself up to it. So be smart with it. If you've had a period of time away from it, like build yourself back up, reintroduce it. I know that you're probably chomping at the bit. I know if you've reintroduced running or bought a pair of running shoes, it's because you're excited. You may have been influenced by watching one of your favorite running influencers online. You've seen someone do something really cool, run a continent or something. Everyone seems to be doing that nowadays. May need to do that soon to stay in with the crowds. But yeah, like be smart with what you're doing and understand that, like, look at your ability, look at where you're at, and then be like, right, I need to build myself up here really, really wisely. Otherwise, I'm just going to run myself into the ground. And then lastly, stop taking extended breaks from running. Stop it. Your running's not going to get anywhere. I used to do this all the time, man, right? I would do an event. I would train for it. I would commit to the plan. I'd get an all right result. I'd get faster than what I was, but I would never really progress beyond that greater picture, maybe a little bit better. And I just thought that was running. The reality was I just wasn't a consistent runner. Like I would always run and it would never like fully leave, right? But it would get to the point where it would be like in there and then it would be a bit ad hoc. I would do it when I wanted, right? You're never going to get anywhere with your running if that's your mentality. Never. And like, it's not just running as well, right? You need to have some kind of aerobic base in there. One of the things that I use religiously is the bike erg every single week without fail. And honestly, like I was actually smiling when I was running today because that is like 3 weeks into like the third week into actually reintroducing running. And I can already see my efficiency coming back. The first run was like a bash to my ego because I was so much slower than what I was in January. Everything felt heavy. And the first couple of runs felt like that, but already it's coming back. And a large part of that is to do with the fact that I still pushed a huge amount of volume with the bike. And this is what a lot of people don't realize is like they go away, they run, I don't know, like a 350 at the Edinburgh Marathon at the weekend. Like, I want to be better. And then they go away and they don't run. And then they go into the block 5 months later and they do the same training plan and they feel that they're starting from scratch. They've got injuries, they've got niggles, they've got aches, they've got pains. I'm not saying you need to be still doing the long runs like you were doing lead up to the marathon, but at least keep something in that keeps the needle moving forward. And this is something that we do with all of our clients as well. Like we map out roadmaps, we map out strategy. And for our clients that are really serious about competing, pushing, huge PBs, challenging themselves, we will map out and talk about the deload. We will talk about the off season because these off seasons are important because if you're really all in on something and it's a big part of your personality, right? You're a runner, you're pushing 10Ks, half marathons, high roxies, you're competing in different fitness events. It's a big part of your personality, isn't it? But when you do it a lot, it doesn't only fatigue your body, it fatigues your mind. So it's important to take some time away from that. But you need to remember that taking time away from it doesn't mean just avoiding it or not doing it because you just lose fitness. Like I talk about this a lot. You only borrow your physique, but you also only borrow your fitness, right? It's never going to be as hard getting his back as what it was getting it in the first place, right? But would you not rather have a really good minimal effective dosage that's going to allow you to still feel in control, still feel really fit, rather than feeling like you're moving mountains when you're reintroducing it? Getting to the point where like the first month of your block of training is just about getting back to like not even where you were starting the last block. It just really limits progress as well. So yeah, guys, these are the 4 things that you need to avoid if you want to run and lift and combine this as a lifestyle. Stop running too fast when you should be running slow. Stop treating your legs like they're made of glass. Stop doing too much too soon. And stop taking unnecessary big extended breaks when you're running. It is not helping you whatsoever, especially if you've got big aspirations and goals. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Please leave your thoughts in the comments below. And yes, as always, make sure that you have subscribed to the channel. Loads of good content coming your way, loads of good stuff in the pipeline, and I'm very excited to speak about it, do it, and be part of it, and be part of your attention. I feel very grateful for it.